Well, here we are revisiting the Honda Jazz. It's well, it's a bit like a swimming pool in there, and the water is even going into the spare wheel well, the actual spare wheel I should say. So I'm going to remove this. There's a bit of wetness there, I see. Dog's wanting attention. Now there's also water there, so that, I don't know if that's water that's been sloshing. That could well be what that is. It's totally dry on this side. So anyway, first thing is I'm going to get this wheel out and have a look. That's that completely taken out. So there's no drain hole in there to let the water out. I'm going to have to scoop it out. You can see that reversing light detector thing is pretty well corroded, so that's of no use whatsoever. So I'm going to probably have to take this out, double check it, and let's check the boot seal. Well, I'm just having a quick look at the gutter seals. A lot of traffic at the moment, so hopefully you can hear me. That looks still well sealed. I think that looks reasonably well sealed still. I did actually put some stuff, I think, behind the as is always the bloody case with these screens, the sun's shining either onto it or I'm looking into the sun and I can't bloody see. What I'll do is I'll actually pull down this roof liner and I'll see if there's any sign of water at the top. You can definitely see there's sealant underneath that. I remember doing that a couple of years ago. There was yeah, there it is there. This bit I fixed with some super glue and it seems to be okay. But what I'll do is I thought I felt a bit of dampness there. First thing is I'm going to bail out the water. Obviously you don't really want a water feature on a Honda Jazz. It's not the best idea. Completely removed the seal, so it looks fine up here. I don't think there's any problem there. A tiny bit of rust there coming down. There is some evidence of rust there, but that could just be the condensation. Something there. That's definitely the worst point. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing that the water's coming down here, pooling there, and then perhaps going over that lip, and then over and down onto the space where the jack is. I think that's the drain hole there, but it's sealed with this bituminous material. And then if I come from the top again, you can see there is a bit of rust there. So let's see. So there's a seal, a seam. There's a seam there. Now, what I'll maybe do is I'll put something on that, see if that works. There's a bit of a seam there. Comes down. Definitely a bit of corrosion here, and then when I look at both sides, it's a kind of uneven seam there, so that could be a point. You see that bit there? So I've just taken a bit of rust off there. I wonder if something's coming down there and it's going into that seam. As you can see, there's definitely water there. I wonder if I need to seal this, maybe put some silicon sealant along that, because I don't see that that's really much of a problem. On the old car, this is where the seams got sealed, there and there, and it solved it once and for all. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bead of silicon down this seam, let that go off, let this dry out in the sun. It's a bit of a cold day here. I think it's only single-digit centigrade, but that certainly looks rusty. That certainly looks rusty. So the way that's kind of expanded, I'm guessing it's somehow water. Let's just assume that water goes in there, somehow gets behind this seam and comes out there. But anyway, I'll get a silicone gun and I'll put, see, there's a bit there where there's like an open section. Now water could potentially percolate round behind that. So I'll need to try and put silicone in a variety of different places and see if it helps. I mean, it doesn't look like it's had any problems there, because it's nice and black and shiny. So maybe the problem's on this side. Maybe it's here. Obviously it's just guesswork for me at the moment, but it's definitely pulling in there. I've been going down here slowly, putting a smear of silicone sealant, just bathroom silicone sealant I'm using, and what I've basically been doing is just kind of poking it into the seams, needing a little bit more on there. I mean, the thing is, this is underneath the seal, so you would think nothing much would penetrate that, but I'm just doing a sort of belt and braces type approach. So I've still got to put some in here, up this side. Try to feel if there's any dampness. Don't feel anything, but I've taken the boot lid trim off, and these sponges are all wet, so they're going to dry off. There's just 4 studs. There's one missing there, I see. That's still in the body. So I'll remove that and then I'll put it back in. But just a case of letting it dry out. So it is starting to dry out fairly nicely in there. I did remove the boot light, so that's taken off, just to make sure it doesn't run the battery dry while the door's open all day. So my next step will be to have a look at this boot seal. A bit more cleaning, and you will see that there has been a bit of a hairline crack there, and it goes down to that point there. So, is it the case that there's a tiny amount of water gets in through that crack? I'm not sure, but I'm going to put silicone sealant on it to find out. This is obviously flipped round, but this is the seal on the inside, so you can definitely see that's damp there. So that bit there corresponds to that bit there, because I've turned it round. So there's a whole lot of muck and whatever on here. I'll get that all cleaned up. Perhaps it's not sealing well enough and it's allowing water to get past here, because obviously with all this dirt and dust, I don't think that's going to get a very decent seal against the bodywork. and then as we go down you can see the start of the rust. You can also see condensation in there. Now this bit here, that corresponds to that point there. There's definitely been water collecting there. And again, it's the same there. It's quite dirty, quite a lot of dirt. So next step, clean the seal. I've put the silicone round here, and I've also put another layer of silicone over those cracks. So I'll let this hang up. There's the seal hanging over the boot, or the back hatch, whatever you want to call it, and let that all dry out internally. But at the same time, I'll get something like, I guess, WD-40 onto that and give it a good old clean down. My thoughts now. So I've cleaned all this and I've refitted it. So obviously the water comes down here from the rain channel. Now I think, in my case, can't say it'll be the case same for everybody, I think water's going in there and then it's following down here, it's collecting here and it's going in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, this seal off here, and I'm going to put a bead of silicone perhaps down to there, so where it sort of comes at a lesser angle, almost goes to the vertical. I'm going to take this off here, put some silicone on it and put the seal back on. But I'm going to pay particular attention to making sure this is nice and clean, because as you can see, hopefully, there is a seam there, and I think water could come down, hit that, and then go in where these areas are. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some silicone down here, down this edge, and see if that helps seal this, because obviously this is getting older now. I mean, this car is now so 2006, so it's what, 17 years old now, and no doubt this rubber is not as good as it used to be. So that's hopefully sealed now. Water comes down, I think it gets in here. So I'm going to clean this up nicely and add some silicone. Added like masses of silicone. Apologies for the camera work here. I've basically just taken my finger down and smeared it so that when, so I'm taking down that trim down there, the grey trim, so that when this goes on, this edge will presumably stick to it better than it was before. But at the same time, if I need to take it off, it shouldn't be too difficult. That's the plan. Now we all know that the plan and reality can be very different. Right, so that's this side installed. I've smeared it over this seam. I've taken my finger down over the lip. You know, I've gone over it here. I'm trying to make sure it's consistent. It looks very consistent here. So anyway, I'll let that go off. At the same time, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'll take it off down to the right hand light, and I'll take it off somewhere up here by the door hinge, and I'll clean it off again and put the silicone on. So I've put a smearing of silicone down inside. I'm now putting the seal back on. Once I've got the seal back on, I'm just pushing that into the silicone, and then the next step is to take some silicone along the lip and then all the way down to the light, and then hopefully that's going to stop the water coming down from the roof rail, percolating down here, getting behind the seal, which is what I think the problem is, and then going down and then all the way to the boot lock. Everything back together, including putting the reversing camera back on. So, taking the boot seal off, cleaned it up, filled the seams. I don't think that really is the problem. I think it's basically water's getting in behind the seal. Now if you look along there, I've actually put it along the entire top edge. So I've put a smear of silicone along here, fitted it back on properly. One thing I'll say, there was actually no sign of any water ingress in this area. The water ingress on the seal was shown on the inside here and predominantly down here. I think we can see I've not quite lined up exactly as it was before. Anyway, it's on. I'm not going to put any seal at the bottom here because hopefully if anything does come out, if there's a tiny amount, hopefully it'll just come out the bottom or it'll drain out. So you can see how that's starting to dry off. So I'll leave that in the sun. Door open for a wee while. And get some WD-40 on that and get that wiped up, get some of the rust removed. And I will report back. If anybody's got any comments, any questions, please let me know. If you feel like it, please press like and subscribe. Supposedly that's how the system works. Likes and subscribes means you get to see more. But anyway, maybe you don't want to see more. Anyway, hope you're all having a good weekend, and that's me signing off. I'm actually back again now. So it's all dried out, it's all bone dry. Well, maybe a slight bit of residual dampness there. I've put the light back in. I'll end up getting rid of this cabling. Let's have a look at the seal. So that seems to have dried off quite nicely. A little bit up here, probably better looking along it. So it's all been sealed along the lip. I've redone it in there. I've cleaned the roof gutters out. Time to put the spare wheel back in. Here's this side, so you can see where I've put a bit of sealant. So this edge, theoretically, no water will get over that edge, and it's the same there. So I don't know how long it'll be before it starts raining again, but hopefully this has cured it. I might put a bit more WD-40 to try and take some of that rust out. If you're not sure how to take these off, you basically just push it that way and lift it up, and it's the same at the front. It actually slides back and then it lifts off. So basically in at the edge and in at the edge, and then it pulls out. I don't even know what the point of these things is actually. It just as well as having the roof and a rain channel. But let's feel that bit. Yeah, that feels okay. That's all nice and dry. So next step will be to see if any water gets in. But this piece of trim is still drying. Once that's dry, I'll put it in. But that's it. Any questions, just ask. I'll try and help. And this one's definitely been more troublesome than the previous car, which was just simply seal the cracks there and seal the crack there. This never occurred again. But anyway, that's it. Bye the now.